Now, how exactly can a university come together to make the world just a little bit more green? My name is Sydney Moore, and I have the story coming up.
Symptoms and food prevention tips. Take 30 News, Courtney Alston.
Mississippi State has seen a lot of change over the past 20 years, but one thing has remained the same.
We had another good one here in Stafford, y'all. Missing action from last week's soccer match against Arkansas? No worries. Take 30 Sports got the highlights coming up for it.
Stressed about not having a job after graduation? Well, I'm Stephanie Poole, and here's where you should go to make sure that you are prepared for that big day.
Are you prepared for a disaster? I'm Sharon McDuffie, and see what experts are saying you should have in your survival kit.
I'm Claudia Wills, and I'll tell you how to stay safe on Halloween night.
Razor blades in candy, the nightmare you've never seen before. I'm Brock St. Clair. More on one of Halloween's biggest hoaxes coming up.
Hello and welcome back to Take 30 News. I'm Brock St. Clair.
And I'm Sydney Moore. Halloween is just 1 week away, and many parents have lots of concerns before sending their kids out trick-or-treating.
Tonight we have team coverage to separate Halloween fact from fiction. First, Take 30's Claudia Wells showed us what police want parents to know.
Go bring me some candy!
Halloween is a week away, and some are looking forward to it.
I'm excited about Halloween because we get a lot of candy and eat it.
As you prepare to celebrate Halloween, there are a couple things that you should keep in mind.
Just be on the lookout for traffic, other kids that will be walking around, maybe have dark clothing on if you're going to be driving, because that is a hazardous thing. Right? If they're younger kids, just make sure that the parents are telling them not to get inside anyone's vehicle or go inside anybody's house. If it's just getting candy, period, instead of eating the candy then. I know another thing that they were announcing on the webs, online, that they were advising a lot of parents to feed their kids before they actually go trick-or-treat. So that'll minimize the problem of them wanting to go ahead and go inside the bag and be able to eat the candy. You're a youth, as far as the ages of maybe 10 to maybe 16, to just use a buddy system, be paired up with somebody for them to be walking around, so parents should be aware of those different things. Making sure they have somebody with them, just in case an incident happened or something like that, they have somebody to speak on their behalf. The big thing, they're looking for sex offenders in your area. Going online, you can go in there and it'll tell you all the different sex offenders that you have in your area.
I want to go trick-or-treating.
For Take 30 News, I am Claudia Wells.
It seems every October, parents worry about the possibility of someone tampering with their child's Halloween candy. But how often does that actually happen? Why did I make this so hard?
This might seem like an odd pairing, unless you're a parent, in which case the idea of razor blades or some other dangerous objects hidden in your child's Halloween candy is nothing new. In fact, it's something you and many other American parents are afraid of every October.
But you've never seen razor blades in candy, and you don't know anyone who's seen it either. And that's because it doesn't happen. In fact, no child has ever been harmed or killed by anonymous candy tampering. So, why do we think that they have?
I couldn't figure out why anybody would poison Halloween candy. It seemed to me to be particularly pointless. And I started telling people, I don't think this is really happening. And they got incensed. Of course it's happening. Everybody knows this is happening.
That's Dr. Joel Best. He's a professor at the University of Delaware who's done research on this very myth for nearly 30 years, and he's found that people just want to believe it.
And I've updated the research. There's still no evidence that any kid's ever been killed or hurt this way, but they keep coming back. And that's taught me a lot of humility. It's taught me that even though this research has been reported in pretty, lots of newspapers, it's been on national television, it's been in, the Reader's Digest and, all kinds of magazines and so on, it doesn't make any difference. People still are convinced that this is something that they ought to worry about.
And they've been worrying about it for a long time. Here's a Halloween safety PSA from last year.
Inspect the hall before the kids dive in. Keep an eye out for any choking hazards or unpackaged treats.
And here's a Halloween safety PSA from 1977.
Most people enjoy having trick-or-treaters come to their doors. But there are a few people who will do things to hurt kids. They might put sharp or hard objects and candy in apples. Or they might put something on fruit or gum that could make you sick if you eat it.
So maybe this Halloween we should focus a little less on the trick and a little more on the treat. I'm Brock St. Clair, Take 30 News. Oh my God, I love Twix so much.
So rest easy, parents. And if your trick-or-treaters have any spare Twix in their halls, let me know. Hey, if you're looking to have some Halloween fun, Mississippi State Student Association is hosting the university's annual costume carnival tomorrow, 5 to 7 p.m. in the Junction. This is an event meant to bring the campus and the community together. There's going to be booths set up with different games and activities. Families in the community are welcomed to bring their children to the campus for a night of fun Halloween festivities. All are welcome to come dressed in their costumes as well.
Mississippi State's Oak Residence Hall caught fire Sunday night. The university says no one was injured and fire damage is contained to one room. They said 30 rooms have water damage, while the fire marshal has not yet officially determined the cause. The university believes this was an electrical fire. On Sunday, the Starkville Police Department arrested 21-year-old Jerome Davis of Starkville for aggravated assault. The arrest comes after a report of shots fired in the area of 1275 Stark Road on Saturday.
For many, graduation is just a few months away. And if you or someone you love is about to graduate and they're still looking for a job, they're not alone.
That's why Take 30's Stephanie Poole reached out to the career experts. Stephanie?
Yes, to take a load off of your graduation anxiety, Brittany Stansel from the Career Center says there are 3 big things soon-to-be graduates need to know.
So part of my position is meeting with students, which ranges from undeclared freshmen all the way to seniors and graduate students, and conducting things like mock interviews, resume critiques, going over different assessments, and really just sitting down and talking with them about what they may need help on, and then helping them through that.
Brittany said coming to events like dinner etiquette and career day fair helps students better connect with employers and businesses.
So I would say definitely start coming to the Career Center early on. The longer you wait, the harder it is for us to help you. So schedule an appointment with your career liaison, and we can also schedule mock interviews and look over your resume and really increase your chances of getting a great full-time position out of college.
First, students need to make an appointment. In this step, a recruiter will connect you to different liaisons of your department. Once you find an employer and secure an interview, you will come to this room right here. Now, if students don't have time to make an appointment, you can simply go to this website, click Connections, and then see all the job postings that may be right for you.
I think overall, I wish that I would have utilized the Career Center more as an undergraduate. We have so many great resources, and it is great to stop by and use those. Particularly the mock interviews really help, because throughout your life, you're gonna have interviews come up, and they really help prepare you for them. So we have students come in every day. Sometimes we'll just help that student once with a particular job, and then other times we'll work with the same student again and again, going through multiple applications or maybe multiple grad school applications as well. But overall, we have students in and out of the Career Center constantly.
That was Stephanie Poole reporting. Thank you, Stephanie. And coming up after the break, we'll have some tips to keep you from catching the cold or the flu. Stay with us.
A baby's arrival can be one of the most exciting times in a family's life. It can also be one of the most anxious, especially if the child's development is hindered by medical challenges that create more questions than answers. At Mississippi State University, we're groundbreakers in the study of CHARGE syndrome, a genetic condition that leads to a host of life-threatening birth defects. Our research teams are uncovering breakthroughs in treatment and prevention with a goal of greater understanding that leads to better care. We're also providing crucial support resources for parents and helping physicians around the globe gain awareness so symptoms can be detected and addressed earlier. By engaging in this innovative analysis and therapy, we're not only improving outcomes, we're unlocking brighter futures.
With recent hurricanes hitting the coast, lots of people may be asking, what can they do to keep their family safe when a disaster hits?
But there's a different type of disaster that a group on campus is preparing for. Take 30's Sharon McDuffie is here with a new emergency that experts say we need to be ready for. Sharon?
Thanks to this unfortunate reality we live in, active shooting has now been added to the list of disasters and something else we must be prepared for. The disaster, and why do we need to be informed if nothing really happens in Starkville? Expert Ryan Akers gets asked these questions daily. A disaster just isn't severe weather. It can be a home fire or even an active shooting. Professor Akers says there is a 4-step process for being prepared.
The first thing you want to do is to build a kit. The second step to that process is to make a plan. Now, most of that revolves around communication. The third step is to be aware. The last step to that is getting involved.
For people that like to use their phones to stay informed, there are different apps that cater to the way you like to receive information. Experts say when building a survival kit, you do not have to go out and buy one that's expensive. You can build your own with things that's already in your home. I found this tub that I can keep things in and keep it safe. I put in some canned goods, I put in water, I have my important documents, I have a book for comfort, and I even have a blanket. And I'm going to seal this up and put it somewhere safe. The rule used to be your kit should last you 3 days, but Professor Akers said that has changed.
It's moving more towards 2 weeks. So the phrase 2 weeks ready is what we're trying to move more towards, to have folks prepare themselves to be able to take care of themselves in an emergency situation for 2 weeks.
It is important to be prepared for all disasters.
Folks around here think that tornadoes are what we're most worried about, and we are in some respects, but across the country, flooding is the most common natural disaster. We see that every year.
Experts say tornadic activity is increasing in Mississippi and other states along the Mississippi River.
Thank you, Sharon. If students or employees want to receive alerts from Mississippi State, they can sign up for Maroon Alerts by going to emergency.msstate.edu. While we may be welcoming the fall season, we cannot forget, you guessed it, the flu. Along with it, Take 30's Courtney Alston has a few prevention tips that can help avoid catching the flu.
Flu season is amongst us, and the health center has had 2 to 3 documented cases so far. Licensed practical nurse Melanie Anderson was passionate in sharing information about the flu and its vaccine with us.
So we encourage you to come in and be vaccinated because it is supposed to lessen your symptoms and decrease the days that you're sick. Well, some of the symptoms of the flu are high fever. I mean, we're talking like 101 temperature and above, an increased heart rate, which is usually higher than 100, and severe fatigue and body aches.
However, Anderson emphasized that staying hydrated was the best way to get well again.
The best treatment is lots of fluid because your body temperature is increased, you're sweating, your heart rate is increased, you're losing all your fluids. You may not feel like eating a whole lot, but there it goes with the fluids. You can eat some chicken noodle soup or something that will help replenish your fluids but give you nutrition too.
Anderson gives hygiene tips to avoid catching the flu for those who has not yet gotten their vaccine or does not plan to get it at all.
You definitely want to make sure that you sneeze or cough into your elbow. And when you do that, make sure that you use good hand hygiene. Anybody that's sick or has a fever, try to stay indoors and away from other people because you are contagious when you have a fever.
For Take 30 News, Courtney Alston.
Now, the Student Health Center has one more flu clinic coming, and that's on October 30th. Coming up on Take 30 News, a lot has changed over the last 20 years, but one woman hasn't. Stay with us.
Mississippi State has seen a lot of change over the past 20 years, but as Take 30's Luke Lutz shows us, one thing has remained the same.
The Colbert Student Union is a hub for the student body. Many businesses have come in and out over the past decades, but Union Station hair designers and Lori Andrews have no plans of leaving. Andrews came to Starkville 20 years ago and has been cutting hair ever since.
My mom did it. I was around it all my life. My aunts did hair. And then I was like the girl in high school that the girls would come and I'd do perms and my mom would make sure I was doing it right. My sister worked here in financial aid across the way, and a lady she worked with actually had the shop at that time. So my sister got me a job with her, and that's how I got started.
Andrews has owned the shop since 2001, and she's taken note of some of the changes the university has undergone.
The union remodeled 10 years ago, so that was a big change because I think the last time they did anything to the union was in the 60s.
Andrews talked about the intimate process of cutting someone's hair. I asked her what the craziest thing anyone has ever told her during a haircut.
I can't say the craziest.
Every year, Andrews loses clients to graduation and gains more because of enrollment, but
to many students and faculty, Andrews is more than just a hairstylist.
I have one guy that I cut. I think I've been doing his hair for at least 10 years. It might be longer than that. And he graduated. I went to his wedding. I cut his kid's hair now. So yeah, there's a few that you just, click with.
Andrews shared some of her favorite moments over the past 20 years, including some Halloween-themed hairstyles.
Every year at the Halloween thing, they would have a contest, and it was called the Scary Hair Show. This is all her hair. It's like, wheat and all that. This one's not a good angle, but that says, "Here lies Ole Miss." It's a tombstone with grass. And this guy came in, he had no hair, so I'm like, what do we do? So I took some weave and I curled it and glued it to his hair, made an eyeball. We didn't know what to do with him, so we just kind of made him a creepy clown. I made a halo out of, I think, a coat hanger, and then we just weaved her hair in it to look like a spider web.
Every year brings more students to Union Station hair designers, and Andrews has no plans to stop cutting. I'm Luke Lutz with Take 30 News.
Andrews says she plans on hiring more staff soon, including someone who specializes in African American hair.
And don't go anywhere, Take 30 Sports is coming up next.
True.
slug match. Mississippi State knew Arkansas was a physical team, so they tried to match that intensity early on.
Well, we knew that they're a physical team. They are named the physical team in the conference, so we wanted to try to capitalize on being the more physical team tonight. And we wanted to, our strength is our set pieces, and so we wanted to capitalize on our set pieces. And
the Bulldogs struggled to find their groove in the first half. However, at the same time, they were able to play solid defense and hold Arkansas to 0 points.
As you can see behind me, we got a very intense game going on tonight. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are taking on the Arkansas Razorback in the key SEC match. It was a 0-0 score after 1, but in the second half, Mississippi State seems to be picking up the steam, looking to take the lead and get the win here tonight.
Ultimately, regulation wasn't enough time for these two teams, and the game ended up going into double overtime. Even then, both teams struggled to score against the opposing defense, leaving the game in the tie. But a tie is not that bad in the Bulldog case, as they tried to get points for entry into the SEC tournament.
so we needed a point, so that it was good that we got a tie. It would have been nice to get a win, but as long as we didn't get a loss, that's good for our book. In our book, we just need one more point, I believe, to get in the SEC tournament. But I'm hoping to get 6 points in the next 2 games.
Reporting in Starkville, I'm Robert Heron, Take 30 Sports.
That one extra point Miranda was talking about wouldn't come in the next game, as the Bulldogs would lose against Ole Miss with a score of 2-0. Their next opportunity is against the LSU Tigers tomorrow, right here in Starkville. In the face of quarterback Nick Fitzgerald's 44% pass completion rate against SEC teams, MSU is surrounded by a quarterback controversy with Keaton Thompson on the sideline. The Bulldogs, who are 1-3 in SEC play, seem to be entertaining portions of the conversation as number 16 Texas A&M comes to town. MSU coach Joe Moorhead said, "We have discussed in the offensive staff room not making a change, but during the first half and the second half, giving Keaton the opportunity to start a drive." The game is scheduled for a 6 p.m. kickoff, and it looks like we'll finally have some good football weather right here in Starkville. Well, Hail State Hoops is hosting their annual Maroon Madness event this Friday night. The doors will open at 6 p.m. and admission is free. The reigning SEC champion women's team and preseason top 20 men's team will be joined by the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters. Do be aware that MSU's clear bag policy will be in effect for the event. This is the same procedure used at all the football games. Well, that's all for Take 30 Sports. When we return, have you noticed something new on campus?
Clouds are open, and where I lay my head, I know.
You know the scene in those popular TV crime shows when the investigators show up? The one where they scratch their heads while trying to figure out who committed the homicide and when? At Mississippi State University, we're solving mysteries behind real-life crime scenes with forensic research that's a first of its kind. Teaming with microbiologists from around the country, we're examining microscopic bacteria that can help solve real murders. So far, our partnership with a major metropolitan medical examiner is yielding results with more than 200 real-life crime samples analyzed. We're learning how microbiomes change and relocate, uncovering evidence in criminal investigations by better pinpointing time of death. Way more exciting than being a TV detective. We're finding crucial answers when they're needed most. Solving mysteries with science, that's worth watching.
When Maroon goes green, here's how a group of MSU leaders come together to make the university more environmentally friendly and help students exercise their green thumb. Mississippi State is known for being an agriculture university. One day, a student named Eddie White noticed that MSU needed to be a little more green.
So this garden has all types of new technologies that we're testing here.
we're able to teach people how to plant, how to garden. So it's really about educating and then learning so that we can share the education with neighboring countries.
To help, students like Mary Allison Page continue to keep this garden up to par.
And so each week I go to Fresh Foods and I collect green material, and then it's brought back to the garden and we mix it with brown material to make compost that is later used in the beds out here.
Now, with global hunger being a major issue in today's times, MSU leaders believe that this community garden will help make that change. To make this change, it all starts with one small root.
Like over here.
Oh,
sorry, that's
okay.
And now push the soil back in around where those roots are.
Okay.
And just gently push it in. That's all you gotta do.
Wow. Students and faculty are able to come to the garden to nurture and grow their plants, which has been a highlight for the garden.
Definitely seen all the clubs come together, because the first time I came out here, there was no green. And now it's like, look at this.
Mississippi State is a leader, and we're starting to teach students and faculty and community members how to be more green, and we're excited about that. And in turn, we are impacting the world.
An impact that started with one garden at one university. Now, you can volunteer with a community garden by signing up at OryxSync at www.oryxsync.com.
Mississippi State University's National Strategic Planning and Analysis Research Center will receive a $200,000 grant to help fight against the opioid crisis. The grant will be used in efforts to prevent opioid abuse, treat addiction, and help law enforcement as well. The project will help 67 rural counties in Mississippi and 2 other eligible counties. And that's all the time that we have for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you. You can catch Thursday's crew back here live tomorrow at 4. Have a great night.